What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 70 of the Game Room Podcast. I'm your host, Rome, alongside Dev.
Hey, what's up?
And Ash is right here. She's sleeping. She'll wake up.
Yeah.
She'll get there.
Our manager.
It's our manager. Dev, how are you doing?
Doing all right. Tired as always. But
Tired as always.
Doing good.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I mean, interesting week, obviously, in games, especially, obviously on the human side. I mean, we're going to talk about Dr. Disrespect and all the stuff that went down there. Also, I mean, they just kind of control the news cycle. Another big week with Xbox making partnerships, deals, and delisting games. So we'll be talking about all of that as well. Plus, the Nintendo ninjas are coming for people. It's over. For a lot of people.
They got them.
They got them.
Yeah.
They do the whole, like, ladies and gentlemen, we got them. But let's get right into it again. Number one on the headlines, Dr. Disrespect.
Okay.
Oh, wow. What was that?
I don't want us to get
Oh, yeah, no, copyright strike. I was like, how long is he going to let that go for? So, Dr. Disrespect. We're going to take it right off from The Verge's reporting here. Twitch abruptly banned one of its biggest stars, Herschel Guy Beam, better known by his persona as Dr. Disrespect, back in 2020 without a word of explanation. Now, 4 years after Beam's permanent ban, two former Twitch employees have come forward to describe events they say contributed to his removal from the platform. One former Twitch employee who asked to remain anonymous, citing the potential risk to their career, told The Verge that Beam had used Whispers, Twitch's now defunct messaging system, to exchange messages with a minor and initiate a conversation about meeting up at TwitchCon. The employee worked on Twitch's trust and safety team at the time of the ban in 2020. Their comments corroborate a post from Cody Connors, a former Twitch employee who worked on the company's strategic partnerships teams. Late Friday, this is at this point 2 Fridays ago, Connors posted on Twitter he got banned because he got caught sexting a minor in the then existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. Powers that be could read in plain text. Case closed, gang, says Cody Connors. Obviously, there was a lot of speculation at that point because you don't know. I mean, obviously, it's factual that we knew that Dr. Disrespect had been banned from Twitch back in 2020. And it was kind of an out of the blue thing where people were kind of like, "What happened?" Caught off guard.
Even myself, I blamed Twitch.
Yeah, I was like, "What did you do? You fumbled the guy."
Yeah, you fumbled this guy because he was the biggest Twitch streamer, and you let him go. So I blamed Twitch at the time, not knowing any of this stuff.
Yeah. Nat says, I think the part that pisses me off most about the Dr. Disrespect situation is that they knew for 7 years and they didn't ban him for 3 years after they knew.
I guess because he was money, they just let it go. Like, it's gross, but
yeah,
it's insane.
Though Connors did not explicitly name Beam, it was understood the streamer was the subject of the post. Beam's ban came shortly after Twitch updated its sexual harassment policy to punish offenders with permanent suspensions. Beam denied Connors' allegations. This has been settled, no wrongdoing was acknowledged, and they were paid out the whole contract, he posted on Twitter. Which, can we just say that, like, that is such a, like, sus way of saying, like, no wrongdoing was acknowledged.
Yeah.
Like instead of, you could very easily say, I was found innocent. I didn't do it, and the investigation showed that I didn't do anything.
Yeah. They didn't catch me doing anything.
Instead, his wording was, No wrongdoing was acknowledged or was found. Um, so that's kind of where we start here with this, right? And so, Dr. Disrespect, again, he put out the initial statement like I just read, saying, he's like, no wrongdoing was found. I'm like, this happened years ago. Like, it's done and over with. I'm moving on.
Mm-hmm.
It does not end there, though, obviously. So Dr. Disrespect.
If it had ended there, I think he would have been fine. We would have never known. And
so, I mean, obviously, it's good to operate off an innocent until proven guilty, but take allegations seriously. That's kind of where I land on things.
I agree with that.
And so for me at this point, when this news comes out, I'm like, oh, oof, that's really rough. Like, let's see how this plays out.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Disrespect, for me, where it hit the fan was when his studio cut ties with him, as we're about to talk about now. Following the controversy last weekend that saw the allegations leveled against Dr. Disrespect, the supersized streamer announced on stream that he was taking an indefinite break from creating content. The announcement came around the same time that Midnight Society, Dr. Disrespect's game studio, working on his extraction shooter, Dead Drop, revealed that it would be cutting ties with him. So it was actually, I don't know, did you see the clip of like his stream when it happened?
No.
So he's playing Elden Ring, Shadow of Erdtree. And like people are like, when he started the stream, he said, if anyone that's here to hear me talk about it, I'm not doing it. We're not talking about it. So fast forward, and he's in the stream, and there's a moment on the stream where you can see him he looks at his phone, and like his whole demeanor changes, and like that came out at the exact same time that the studio cut ties with him. So like they definitely were just like, hey, we're done with you. We're not. And not to make light of a situation, but he's playing Elden Ring and he's in a loading screen while he's reading this text message, and as soon as the text message, like his demeanor changes, Elden Ring's like soundtrack starts playing, and it's like really like
cinematic,
gloomy and dark, and it's really funny. I'll have to show you it afterwards. I don't have it for the script, unfortunately. But here is what Midnight Society, the development studio working under Disrespect, said. On Friday evening, we became aware of an allegation against one of our co-founders, Guy Beam, aka Dr. Disrespect. We assumed his innocence and began speaking with the parties involved. And in order to maintain our principles and standards as a studio and individuals, we needed to act. For this reason, we are terminating our relationship with Guy Beam immediately. While these facts are difficult to hear, and even more difficult to accept, it is our duty to act with dignity on behalf of all individuals involved, especially the 55 developers and families we have employed along with our community of players. Around the same time, Dr. Disrespect was on livestream. Before he wrapped up, he started talking about how he was tired of all this, and referenced hating being on social media. He then started rambling slightly, talking about an upcoming vacation and suggesting that he'd extend that indefinitely. Which nothing screams I'm innocent like I'm leaving. I'm done with this. Anyways, he says, quote, I did have a planned vacation coming up. I think I might just extend that starting now. One of these, let's take a step back. I mean, it is what it is. People get fatigued, right, champs? To be honest, I don't know how long my vacation is, but maybe I extend that. We'll see. He requested that his Champions Club keep an eye on the socials for signs of his inevitable return, but we'll have to see how the current situation plays out before that comes around. Coincidentally, he suggested he'd step away from Midnight Society too in an effort to remove himself from the scene. So either he knew the separation was coming, or he was trying to save face. And that says you can see the exact moment his heart breaks.
Oh man,
it's true. You could tell in the video. So that was what was going on. Once the studio cuts ties with him, it kind of kicks into another gear. And so he puts out a statement. It was a little long, but we're going to dive into it. The Twitch ban. This is his Twitter account, officially from him. Hello, I'd like to make a quick statement. Let's cut the fucking bullshit. As you know, there's no filter with me. I've always been upfront and real with you guys on anything that I can be upfront about. And I'm always willing to accept responsibility, which is why I'm here now. First and foremost, I do want to apologize to everyone in my community as well as those close to me, my team, and everyone at Midnight Society Game Studio. A lot of people have been left in the dark about what happened yesterday with Midnight Society, and we made the painful decision collectively to have me step down. So, go to pause right there. I thought it was really funny that the day before, they were like, we're cutting ties with him, and today it's,
oh, stepping down.
We're stepping down. We came together. We palled it out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I also thought this was really weird for him to kind of, I assume, be in character, just start like, cut the fucking bullshit. I'm like, you probably should read the room a little bit better with what you're about to tweet. You probably shouldn't start a tweet like that. That's just me, though. I wouldn't do it. Anyway, so he says, our team is full of incredibly talented and good people that have high career ambitions and families I'd never want to jeopardize, the culture we have carefully crafted. Everyone has been wanting to know why I was banned from Twitch, but for reasons outside my control, I was not allowed to say anything for the last several years. Now that 2 former Twitch employees have publicly disclosed the accusations, I can now tell you my side of the story regarding the ban. Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. That's the end of the tweet. Just end your tweet there.
Yeah.
Like, I like how in the previous paragraph, he's like, these accusations. And he's like, well, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's all true. Anyways.
And, like, even at that point, it's like, you know what? You have a lot of fans. It's probably really cool to get a message from you know what I mean? If I message someone I admired.
You're starstruck.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But it gets worse.
So, yeah. So he says, yeah, the answer is yes. He did, in fact, use the Twitch whisper, which, really creepy name, by the way. Whisper.
Yeah,
it's
I remember when I had that. Never used it.
Yeah, me neither. I was like, that sounds weird.
I don't think anyone ever used it.
Isn't it like Snapchat where like they would go away or something? Or I never used it, but the name implies that to me. I don't know. Anyways, so he says that yes, he messaged a minor back in 2017. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes lean too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more.
That's it, right? That right there.
And the tweak it end.
Yeah, like
it keeps going. Nothing illegal happened. No pictures were shared. No crimes were committed. I never even met the individual. I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and that case was resolved by a settlement. Let me be clear, it was not a criminal case against me, and no criminal charges have ever been brought against me. So I want to stop right here. And again, we are a gaming podcast. But at the end of the day, this was the biggest story in gaming last week. So we're going to do it justice. We're going to talk about, the facets of it. And, people aren't going to like that. Some people are going to say stick to games. I totally get it. I totally respect it. That's not what we're going to do. So my thing, right, is like you said, he just gets to a point where, like, just stop. You're like, okay, you've admitted to this. Like, it is what it is. Like, it's done. But, like, the way that this all plays out is legitimately... I don't know if you ever watched To Catch a Predator. Or, because when I'm scrolling TikTok sometimes, like, I just get random videos of, like... that's how the algorithm works. And it shows you, like, controversial shit if you watch that shit. And, like...
That was my show. I used to love that show.
Yeah, because I get like 911 videos and like stuff like that and like murder mystery stuff. So like I get all that stuff on my TikTok, and that's where I see a lot of it. But yeah, I mean, To Catch a Predator, popular show with Chris Hansen, and like basically what he says here just plays out like every dude that gets caught on that show. It's like, yeah, I was texting her, but there was no intention there. I mean, I didn't intend to do anything. It's like, oh, okay, so you just messaged her inappropriately, like. At the end of the day,
why'd you bring condoms? What are you going to use those for?
I was going to show her a science experiment. No, it's absurd. It's just the most ridiculous thing. It's like, what do you mean you didn't have any intentions? Like, you went out of your way to text a minor, which we're going to find out in a little bit. He knew that she was a minor. He knew she was a minor. Continued to text her inappropriately. Like, I'm sorry, but like I don't give a fuck what you say your intentions are. Like, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
So just real terrible stuff. He says and then the other thing I wanted to say is about him not breaking a law. That doesn't really mean much because I was actually reading some tweets from someone who actually like helps expose predators, and she was saying that like most of these people don't end up incarcerated. Like, it's not Unfortunately, a lot of that stuff isn't illegal,
Yeah,
except
I guess you have to cross
for
the line.
contact.
Yeah.
Like actual like physical contact is the line,
Yeah.
which I disagree. I think that there should be more. I mean, again, I'm not going to get into it too much because we're games, but I mean, yeah. So he is correct, but like again, that's a low bar. So the person that I follow, I should have saved this tweet for the script, but she was saying that like out of the hundreds of people that she investigated on and exposed, she said out of all of them, only one of them ever got convicted. Like, it's just like that's just the reality. So like him saying that nothing illegal was done, it's a low bar. It's a very low bar. So that's not the defense he thinks it is. Nat says he planned to meet up with the minor at the same event he cheated on his wife at. That's enough for me to know his intentions. Did you guys hear ABK? Ty, I was the one that shared that with you. Don't worry. We'll talk about it. We will talk about it. Let me move on before Ty gets upset and leaves. If you actually send or receive messages or actually meet up with them, that's where they get convicted. Oh, okay. Thanks, Nat. So he says, now from a moral standpoint, I'll absolutely take responsibility. I should have never entertained these conversations to begin with. That's on me. That's on me as an adult, a husband, and a father. It should have never happened. I get it. I'm not perfect, and I'll fucking own my shit. This was stupid. Now, with all this said, don't get it fucking mistaken. I've seen all the remarks and labels being thrown around so loosely. Social media is a destruction zone. I'm no fucking predator or the other word. I don't know if YouTube's going to flag that word, so I don't want to say it out loud.
Gotcha.
But I'm sure you can guess the word. Are you kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me fucking knows where I stand on those things with those types of people. Fuck that. That's a different level of disgust I fucking hate even hearing about. Don't be labeling me as the worst of the worst with your exaggerations. It's not an exaggeration. I don't think it is. Not to me. But I think I've said what I needed to say regarding the ban itself. That's it. That's why Twitch made the decision in 2020. To my team, community, industry friends that have supported me, I apologize. I wish I could have said all this sooner. You guys have always showed me and my family love and support through all these years. We love you guys like you can't imagine. I have the fucking best community and circle. He's a PDF file.
Yeah.
Says Nat.
That's what everyone says, yeah.
That's great. That's really good. A lot more predators to catch. Predator got convicted and everything. Yeah. But trust me when I say this, to all my haters that live and breathe my social media with zero real life experience, I don't give a fuck about you. Finally, if you're uncomfortable with this entire statement and think I'm a piece of shit, that's fine. But I'm not fucking going anywhere. I'm not the same guy that made that mistake all those years ago. I'm taking extended vacation with my family, as mentioned on stream, and I'm coming back with a heavy weight off my shoulders. They want me to disappear. Yeah, fucking right. Grow up. Get a grip. Like, at the end of the day, you were messaging minors inappropriately.
He wants us to grow up, so he's not attracted to us anymore.
Right. Just look, man. At the end of the day, like, it's fucking disgusting and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
don't drink Pedialyte.
let's move on again before Ty leaves. So after that statement, just kind of wanted to run through all those years ago. He was 35. Yeah, no, that's true. He was 35. It's like, okay. Forbes, Paul Tassi did kind of a roundup of kind of like the aftermath of what happened. So again, before the statement that he co-founded, the studio he co-founded, Robert Bowling, who's the studio director, said, "If you inappropriately message a minor, I cannot work with you. Period."
Is the studio fine, or are they still going to continue on with
I think they're going to continue on, but I mean, just to be completely real and honest, and again, this is also where the news does come into more of the traditional gaming news, because we are talking about a studio. If Dr. Disrespect didn't have a studio tied to him, I think this story, you could make the argument that, like, is it in our, like, sector of what we cover here? I think the fact that we're talking about a developer that's making a game,
yeah,
I think that kind of helps make the argument.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people, everyone was talking about it. It was the story everywhere.
It is big news, though.
Yeah.
He was the biggest streamer on Twitch.
Exactly. And then he was the biggest streamer on YouTube. And now he's neither.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Robert Bowling, who used to work on Call of Duty, it was actually funny because I recognized the name. I was like, oh, that guy used to work at Infinity Ward on Call of Duty. But so he's over there now, and that was what he said. He said, if you inappropriately message a minor, I cannot work with you, period. I promise to only act on facts, and so I did. So here's what happened. So Turtle Beach, sponsor of Doc, removed all of their branded products from the website. The San Francisco 49ers, loser organization by the way, who used to have Doc work in the past for like promotions and stuff for him, they cut ties. They said they won't be working with him anymore. Dozens, if not hundreds, of high-profile streamers and content creators condemned his actions after his admission, including his friends like Tim the Tatman and Nick Merckx, who Nick Merckx also got banned from Twitch permanently last week after this all happened.
Damn.
For also being a piece of shit. Not in that way, but in another way.
Side.
Yeah, just different kind of piece of shit. Many of Doc's longtime fans have said that even if they were previously in the camp of innocent until proven guilty, when this broke, his own statement turned the tide for them, given that he plainly acknowledged the core details of the story behind the ban. But there are others who seem to believe the statement is still not damning and will continue to support him. And that was what Paul Tassi kind of put for like the aftermath. Some other little quick notes about it was what was this? This is from the Rolling Stone. Slasher in the Rolling Stone did a report on it that Dr. Disrespect sent sexually graphic messages to a minor he knew to be underage, was made aware of the individual being underage, and indicated it was not a problem to him. Was not offered a contract at YouTube due to the circumstance of his Twitch ban, as YouTube was informed about this, which I think it's a bad look on YouTube as a platform as well. Ty, that's funny. We are talking about Avowed in a little bit, Ty. We're almost there. And this is the last bit we'll leave on Dr. Disrespect. YouTube has demonetized his channel following the Twitch ban story. In a statement made to Kotaku, a YouTube spokesperson confirmed that Beam was no longer able to make money from his YouTube videos and suspended his channel from the YouTube Partner Program. We have suspended monetization on Dr. Disrespect's channel for violating our creator responsibility policy, the spokesperson said, going on to confirm that YouTube had suspended Dr. Disrespect's channel from the YouTube Partner Program following serious allegations against the creator. The spokesperson said that the demonetization also applied to any other YouTube channels Beam may own or any new channels he may create in the future. Beam was one of Twitch's most popular streaming personalities prior to his unexpected ban and termination of exclusive deal with the platform, which was said to have been worth as much as $10 million a year in June 2020. So, we're going to pretty much wrap it up on the Dr. Disrespect stuff, but at the end of the day, he's definitely not like us.
Yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts before we move on at all?
No.
Good. So, yeah. Piece of shit. And again, I understand that some people think, stick to games, don't talk about it, but for me, games are a human industry. Like, people make games for more other people to enjoy. People play games to watch, people play games to watch like have other people watch you play games. Like it's a connected and people industry. So at the end of the day, it was going to be covered here. But now let's move on to the rest of the headlines. Number 2 on the headlines. Xbox struck a deal with Amazon, and Xbox gaming is coming to Amazon Fire TV. Play more games, no console needed. The following comes from Xbox's official wire. At Xbox, we're committed to bringing the joy and community of gaming to everyone. Today, we're announcing a collaboration with Amazon where Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members in over 25 countries can play games directly from the Xbox app on select Fire TV devices via cloud gaming, giving people even more choice in how they play their favorite games. The games have come back to the game room, says Ty. We were always talking about games. Talking about a guy who plays games and who has a studio that was making a game.
I mean, he's one of the biggest gamers. You know what I mean? Like he's.
It's not like we were talking about like some content creator who like doesn't his whole life and is centered around games. Like if Shigeru Miyamoto stabbed a man tomorrow, we would have to talk about it because it's Shigeru Miyamoto, a well-known figure in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about a bomb threat later on this show. Like, it's games. Like, it's just it's news headlines in the games. You don't have to like it, but it is what it is. It happened. You know, you don't have to acknowledge it, but it happened. So, anyways, now Ty is distracting us from actually talking about games. I thought Ty wanted to talk about games, and now we're not talking about games. Anyways, at Xbox, we're committed to bringing the joy of gaming to anyone. I already said that. In July, the Xbox app will be available on the Fire TV Stick 4K Max for $59.99 and the Fire TV Stick 4K for $49.99. For people new to console gaming, or for those looking for another way to play, it's a great low-cost, convenient, and portable option to enjoy a huge library of incredible games. To get started, players just need a Fire TV Stick, a Bluetooth-enabled wireless controller, and an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate membership to gain instant access to hundreds of phenomenal games.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Including Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, Starfield, and Forza Horizon 5, among others. Plus, Bethesda Game Studios' beloved Fallout games are also available with Game Pass Ultimate, including Fallout 76 and Fallout 4. Fallout fans will be able to play these games on select Amazon Fire TV devices alongside the acclaimed Fallout TV show on Prime Video. That's corporate synergy right there. You like
working together?
Yeah, you like Fallout on Amazon? Well, now you got the games and the show.
Yeah.
Once downloaded, the Xbox app is designed to offer a smooth and seamless experience, and then they run down how it works. So here's the thing, right? So I have... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if we have it on the story, but I know they just released more documents of the streaming console they were going to have. Xbox
I took it off the notes, but they were talking about it.
Yeah, and then I do remember, I mean, why have a whole console when you can do it on a and I know they talked about having a dongle as well.
Yeah.
So,
but if you have other dongles, have it for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a foot in. And we already know they have Game Pass included into TVs already, so it just...
The Samsung ones, yeah.
Yeah, so...
So, I mean, like, I'll say this, like, this is something that has zero interest for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about this at all. I won't be using it. I don't care personally. It doesn't affect me at all. But, however, I would be benign to not admit that this is a huge story for Xbox.
Absolutely.
Like, this is massive for them.
Yeah.
Being on the Fire Sticks, like, again, it's just like when they were on the Samsung TVs. Like, it's just more places for Xbox to put Game Pass and to be. And, you know, Jez was tweeting about it last week, and I thought it was, the way he put it was like, more users on this app means that there's more Xbox users. Which, like, if you're worried about the longevity of Xbox as an ecosystem, like, this is something that could really boost a shot in the arm to Xbox user counts. And he also argued that, like, by bringing in new players through the Xbox app, those users could end up someday maybe being new hardware customers and stuff like that.
That part I disagree with. I think it's the opposite. But the first...
I think it's more so... I think he was saying more so... Maybe I'm misquoting him, but he was more so saying, like, it brings in new Xbox customers and they become Xbox customers.
Yeah. They're definitely going to be... Yeah, you'll be... But I don't know if it's going to sell hardware. I think it actually might hurt them in the hardware department, but I don't think they care... I don't think hardware is at the top of their priority list. I think Game Pass subscriptions is at the top.
Right.
And so I think that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah.
No, I think it's cool. I don't know how well streaming is right now, but if streaming's at the point where I don't sense any lag, I'm all down for having it on a stick.
Right. No, yeah. So I think it was a great thing for them to do, and I think it's a good move for them moving forward. Yeah. Just a more healthy Xbox ecosystem is something that I want to see. So I'm down with it.
I'm down for it.
Next up in the headlines, number 3, Forza Horizon 4 is going to be delisted later this year. The open world racing game, which was originally released in October 2018, will be delisted from the Microsoft Store and Steam on December 15th, 2024, due to expiration of licensing agreements, most likely mainly related to car brands or in-game music. The game's DLC is being delisted today, meaning the only way new players can get the game's 2 expansions is by purchasing the Ultimate Edition of the game. Players who own the game and its additional content after it's delisted on December 15th will still have it in their library, meaning they'll be able to download it and play it. All of the game's offline, online, and multiplayer features will remain active after it's delisted, and physical copies played after December 15th, will still work as normally too. The game will be getting discounted leading up to its delisting. It's currently 80% off on Steam, meaning the standard edition is only $12. It will also be discounted on the Xbox Store starting July 14th, but it's not known if this will also be an 80% discount. The game's delisting means it will no longer be available as part of Game Pass. However, any Game Pass subscriber who purchased the DLC or content for the game will still be able to play it. Those who still have an active, full-paid Game Pass subscription will get a token in the coming days sent to them through the Xbox Message Center that can be redeemed to get access to the game beyond its delisting. Ty says, I see your point, but anyone who wants a console will buy a console. Phil mentioned at some point that most users are using cloud or new users. He says, I have a PlayStation. I got into Xbox ecosystem via xCloud and then bought the Xbox Series X. Also, Xbox confirmed over 10% of their playing hours come from the cloud. So he's kind of debunking what you said. He got an Xbox through the xCloud, through the cloud, and then he bought a Series X.
Well, it's like you said, this doesn't affect you at all. And I agree with Ty that if you want a console, you're getting a console. If you already have a console, you're already in the ecosystem. But if I'm a kid and I can play Halo and Starfield and all those games directly on the Fire Stick or on my TV,
right,
I'm not going to ask my mom for a $500 console. I already have the game.
Well, you could be an adult buying your own.
Yeah. If you're an adult, that's a different
You're an
thing.
adult also asking your mom to buy you a $500 gaming console.
No, but I mean, like, we're talking about new people getting into the ecosystem.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be
We're talking about
children.
growth for the Xbox ecosystem. And I think it has room to grow. It's going to grow.
Yeah.
But I think more people will choose streaming. You're saying 10%. I imagine it won't be 10% next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to grow.
So back on Forza Horizon, though. I think this is just another, Devro's wrong situation. Where, Devro is, you are so for the ending of physical media. And I think right here, like, this game came out less than a decade ago. And it's a premium first-party game that did very well for them. And now it's going to be delisted and gone forever. And I think that it's kind of insane that, like, you would sit here and cheer for the destruction of physical media as we know it, where, like, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it wouldn't happen. Do you have anything you want to say to that? To these accusations?
Yeah, I mean, I never said I wanted it to happen. I just said
Here we go.
I just predicted this. That's it.
Here we go.
I'm looking through the headlines. I noticed you don't have Sony stop making Blu-rays. That was a big. Did you see that?
That's not
one?
gaming news. We stick to gaming
but
news.
But that is. It was talking about Blu-rays for gaming too. Like they're not making. They're getting out of that business.
I know. Well, yeah, it happened. Just because I don't have it in the headlines doesn't mean it didn't happen. That doesn't help your argument. You were still wrong.
What do you mean? I'm wrong. Your story just said
you were
that
just like you celebrate the end of days.
You're acting like it's not.
Are you a
happen.
Supreme Court justice member?
You're acting like it's not going to happen, and I'm like, hey, it's happening in front of your
I
eyes.
didn't say it wasn't going to happen. I said that it was bad that it was happening.
Well, it's happening. I didn't say it was bad or good. I'm just saying it's happening.
This guy said it's good. That's crazy.
I just said I didn't say it's bad or good.
This guy said
I just said
good.
it's happening.
It's crazy. Real unfortunate.
Who's making disc for who?
We're gonna be living in a third world country, and Deborah's gonna be like, "Yep, this is great."
Your guy,
this is great. This is
your
exactly
guy, Philip Spencer. He said it.
What are you talking about?
He said it out his mouth.
First of all, his name is Phil, not Philip.
Spencer. He said it out his mouth.
Don't call him Philip. That's his dad's name. Okay, first of all.
He said, "Who's buying disc drives? People aren't even making them anymore because no one's buying them, except the gaming company. Computers don't even use disc drives anymore."
All right, it's time to move on.
It is what it is.
Number 4 in the headlines. Black Myth Wukong Xbox version has been mysteriously delayed, and Microsoft has responded. Philip Spencer. Black Myth Wukong is a spectacular-looking upcoming action-adventure game from New Game Studio Science, based on the Chinese classical novel Journey to the West. The player takes charge of martial arts-wielding monkey known as the Destined One, based on Sun Wukong from the novel. Described as a boss rush game, Black Myth Wukong was previously slated to hit Xbox, Series X and S, alongside PC and PS5 versions on August 20th of this year, until plans changed. Developer Game Science showed off a new trailer for Black Myth Wukong at this year's Summer Games Fest. and the Xbox Series logo was mysteriously absent. Later, the company confirmed on its FAQ that the Xbox version had been, quote, delayed for optimizations. Quote, we are currently optimizing the Xbox Series X and S version to meet our quality standards, Game Science said, so it won't release simultaneously with the other platforms. We apologize for the delay and aim to minimize the wait for Xbox users. We will announce the release date as soon as it meets our quality standards. The news led to a flurry of speculation that the Xbox Series X and S versions platform is difficult to work with. The Xbox Series S in particular has been blamed previously for game delays, notably Baldur's Gate 3, which dropped split-screen co-op in order to get the game out. The Series S has less RAM and GPU power than the Xbox Series X and PS5, leading to resolution compromises in exchange for a lower, more affordable price point. The console has proven as a more affordable option for millions, although frequently blamed for situations like the above. Jez Corden of Windows Central asked both Microsoft and Game Science to comment on the optimizations issue, seeking some clarity. Was the Series S to blame? Game Science didn't respond, but a Microsoft spokesperson offered a statement.
Okay.
Are you ready for this statement?
Yeah.
Quote, we're excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X and S, and are working with Game Science to bring the game to our platforms. We can't comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we remain focused on Xbox being the best platform for gamers, and great games are at the center of that. Did you notice something in there? What did you notice?
It sounds like another company slipped them some money, and they can't talk about those deals. Because my mind immediately went to this Xbox Series S, especially looking at the game. It's a great looking game. Mm-hmm. It looks like it uses a lot of processing power. So my mind immediately went to Series S again.
But then Microsoft puts out this statement, and it's very...
It sounds like... It also does sound like they're trying to shift the blame on someone else, which...
I mean, here's the thing. I think that Microsoft is a corporation, and I think that, like, if they're saying something, like, they're saying something for a reason. And that terminology, I mean, like, look, I also thought originally it might be a Series S issue, but when Jez did this reporting, I mean, we know that PlayStation does this. And, like, how fucked would it be? I don't think you'll agree with me on this at all. But how fucked up would it be that this game is nearing completion? It comes out in about a month and a half, and PlayStation was just like sliding a little exclusivity deal at the finish line.
I don't know if it's so because I'm trying to think of the trailers when it first came out, and I always remember seeing only PlayStation logo.
No, it was always coming to Xbox.
Okay, I didn't know that. I always thought it was a PlayStation only game.
It was coming to Xbox. Yeah, I just look like I like you said, your mind goes to Series S because like that is something that has happened in the past with Baldur's Gate. Yeah. But the problem for me is like them saying what they say here. Well, PlayStation has done this historically as well, so I don't know. My thoughts on it is that like regardless of where we argue about this a lot, like when the money comes in, if it's funding a game, obviously it's one thing. I think for at this stage of the game, it is so late that it's like.
But I don't think this is a last minute deal either.
I don't know. It's scummy. I think it's scummy. I think it's extremely scummy.
We've always been on different sides of this. I always think that paying a game for exclusives for your console, I think I don't see an issue with it. I think it's fine.
And Ty just says also as well, like he's leaning towards Xbox on this. Them lying or being misleading would hurt them more, and which we've talked about in the past here on the podcast. Like Xbox is at a point now where they can't afford to tell lies.
Oh, I don't think they're lying. No, I don't think they're lying.
I think that when they're saying this, they're saying, "Hey, we can't comment on deals that the developer made with other partners."
Oh no, I agree
that
with
implies to me that Xbox. Like the game is not coming to Xbox right now because someone else paid for it not to be there right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what that is in my mind.
That's the thing. I don't think they're lying. I think they're telling the truth. I don't see an issue with one company paying for an exclusive for their product. I don't see any issue with that. Honestly, I'm being like, I said that I've always said that it feels like it's bringing competition to you. It feels like it's now this studio, if they want this game on their console, they have to make something like it, or get another company and throw your money around. And I do think that money goes to development. We saw it with Final Fantasy. They said this game could not have been made if it was on other consoles or it couldn't have been made to
Which
this quality.
I still disagree with that, but we're not going to get into it because I do think we just disagree, which is fine. It is what it is. For me, though, I think this is like an extreme case where it's like this game was like practically done. This game comes out in 6 weeks. Yeah. And it was being touted as releasing on Xbox.
We're only just finding out about this. I don't think this is like a last minute thing.
I think at the end of the day, it's happening late.
If you're making a game that comes out really soon, even in 6
there
months,
was no they made no formal announcement prior to the Game Award or Summer Games Fest about it being delayed. So it's like at that point you're lying to your customers. I don't see why they would lie to their customers like that.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like the developer, if the developer was going to delay the Xbox version, it wasn't brought about until people noticed it at Summer Games Fest, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's not coming out day and date with Xbox." Like that's just such a weird way to do it. Like in my opinion, I just think it's extremely sus. So Jazz continues to report, I became aware of whispers and rumors while out in LA for the Xbox showcase that despite the optimization assertions, Game Science had actually taken some form of exclusivity deal with PlayStation for Black Myth Wukong. Reading between the lines, Microsoft does seem to suggest that some form of third-party exclusivity deal may be in play, although it stops short of explicitly stating as such. If that is the case, a retroactive exclusivity deal like this is problematic for a variety of reasons, particularly when you are already announced which platforms your game is coming to. A delay for optimization reasons is also problematic for Microsoft and Xbox because it furthers the narrative that Xbox isn't a priority for developers, and further speculations that developers find the Series S difficult to work with. If Black Myth Wukong had taken an exclusivity deal, it would be within Sony's interest to cast doubt over the Xbox platform by keeping details of the deal a secret.
Yeah.
And like it's funny to me because like we talk about like how it's like it's not about console wars at this point, and it's like Xbox putting their games everywhere and PlayStation putting their games everywhere. If I'm Xbox, like honestly, if I'm Xbox, I'm sitting in a boardroom and like PlayStation is actively doing this, like making the public perceive Xbox as a place developers don't want to go and like trying to affect their business, I would never put a single first party game on PlayStation. But maybe I'm not cut out to run a business. I'm too petty for it. But like at that point, like you're just playing some corporate schizo game. I'm not playing that game. It's like, okay, all right, buddy. Next Fallout game, definitely not coming to PlayStation.
Oh,
I would play that game. I would absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. If Xbox came out and did that, I don't see any issue with doing that.
I don't either, but that's what I'm saying.
But I think the what am I trying to say? The goal of Xbox and the goal of PlayStation, they're not playing the same game. I think PlayStation's trying to keep people on their ecosystem. Mm-hmm. Xbox is trying to build, and Game Pass is more important. I think software is more important to them,
but only because they were third place in the console business.
Yeah. So
if they weren't, they wouldn't care.
And PlayStation is still first place.
But at the end of the day, perception is still matters. So it's like if people perceive Xbox, no matter where Xbox is, if Xbox is a streaming only platform, if people don't perceive Xbox as being worth a damn, they're not going to invest in that platform, whether it's streaming or console or anything. It just doesn't matter. We saw it with Stadia. What happened with Google Stadia? Google's one of the biggest companies in the world.
But you're
Stadia
saying
failed.
You're saying something that I 100% agree with. If people are thinking,
so why are you yelling at me?
If people are thinking, hey, this game's only on PlayStation, I'm gonna buy the game on PlayStation, or I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna stick with PlayStation for Black Myth Wukong or whatever game it is.
Right, but that's the But that's a problem for Xbox.
Yes, it's a problem for Xbox. Yes,
that's what I'm. Yeah,
but that's not. It doesn't matter. If Xbox puts out Fallout only for Xbox, it's a problem for PlayStation.
No, what I'm saying is that I'm saying that I think Xbox should reevaluate their strategy. We're not in disagreement. I don't think we disagree at all here. My point that I'm saying is that you have Xbox and PlayStation playing two different games, and I think for Xbox to survive and thrive as an ecosystem and not just some publisher, I think that they need to make note of that because Xbox is currently trying to maximize their profits and their growth, putting games on PlayStation, and PlayStation is responding by keeping games off of Xbox. Not even first-party games, but third-party games with these exclusivity deals.
I agree.
Right, I know. That's what I'm saying. We're not arguing. I'm just giving my thoughts on it. Where it's just like, if I'm Xbox, and again, maybe I'm just too petty to run a business, but if I'm Xbox, you're not seeing, outside of like what we promised the governments that are like, okay, Call of Duty's coming to PlayStation, it's like, Nothing else. Like, we're not bringing Fallout. We're not bringing Elder Scrolls. We're not bringing Indie. We're not bringing Blade. We're not bringing Gears. We're not bringing Halo. We're not bringing anything. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you want to put us out of business. Like, there's a difference between competition and just making these sleazy deals. And we disagree on that, and that's fine. But if I'm Xbox, I'm changing how I do business with PlayStation after things like this that keep popping up. Because they're legitimately smearing you behind the scenes, making these money deals and having perception, public perception, which, as I've always said here, perception is 99% of what matters. Unfortunately, that's just the facts. Mm-hmm. If they're altering your perception, if they're playing the perception game, you got to play the perception game too.
And I want them to. Again, it's better for us.
Hey, it is. It is.
It's better for gamers if they're competing like this.
Yeah. Ty coming in saying that your Final Fantasy line is bullshit, Devro. If Red Dead, Witcher, Dragon Age, Alan Wake 2, Dragon's Dogma, Doom, Diablo can come out everywhere day one, so can Final Fantasy. He says lies.
No, it's not that they
Devro,
can't
you're a
play
liar.
those games.
You're wrong. Devro's wrong. Ty, go into the Discord and put that in the Devro's wrong tab.
I agree with him right there. It's not that the game can't come out on the other system. It's.
Ty says, I agree. I'm annoyed. I put Doom on your platform, and then you take Stellar Blade and Wukong from me. But maybe that's the petty me. Yeah, Ty and I are on the same page here.
I also
we're done. Doom's like, okay, like Doom's not coming to PlayStation. Like, we're pulling this out.
PlayStation, because it's in first place and because it has so many more consoles out there in the ecosystem, they almost benefit. They can sell millions of copies of a game, whereas Xbox. We saw what happened.
But I would push back here because it's like, if Xbox kept these games exclusive on their platform, you mean to tell me that a steady flow of games like Doom, The Dark Ages, and like other of these big Fallouts and Elder Scrolls aren't going to move units eventually if they're exclusive?
Oh yeah, they will.
That's absolutely what I'm saying. So like,
but
yeah,
I mean, but they don't get that initial money from selling it everywhere.
Again, you got to invest.
If Hi-Fi Rush came out and it wasn't if Hi-Fi Rush came out on other consoles, it would be that studio. I think that studio would still be in. They would have raked in so much more money being on 3 consoles, especially two consoles that have way more units out there than their ecosystem.
Well, there was some speculation with Tango closing being more about like Shinji Mikami leaving the studio and stuff. So there was some thoughts about that where people were like, we just don't see much value in this studio without its creative leadership, which, you know, that's a debate for a different day whether that's right or wrong.
But what I'm saying is, out of all the 3 major companies, Xbox benefits the most going third party.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that Xbox can play their cards right and get right back into competition with them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I would like to see it.
They have the IP. They have the power.
They do. Yeah.
There's no reason for them not to.
That Xbox showcase. Imagine every single game outside of Call of Duty on that showcase just being exclusive to Xbox.
Yeah, because I was about to say that. I think the deal of not having anything on was only for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
They can restrict everything else.
Call of Duty is the only one where they were like, it'll be everywhere.
They need if I agree with you that if PlayStation's doing this, you have it.
And the thing is, I think Xbox can play the game in a way where they do both. Like, you're already releasing your games on Steam, right? You're already now you're releasing your games with Nvidia. You're doing all these things with Amazon and Samsung. Like, you're putting your ecosystem everywhere. Just put it everywhere except for PlayStation.
Because something that you said is, do I think that one day they can just survive off of, like, right now they're going third party because they need the more money, and I think that's what they have to sacrifice a little, but they can absolutely build up their ecosystem to where everyone's playing Xbox because they have all these great exclusive games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll have to see how Xbox responds. I mean, I would like to see them respond in one way. I don't know if we're going to see it, but, you know, I would like to see it. Number 5 on the headlines.
It is nice to know that it's not a Series S thing. I'm going to throw that out there.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. Number 5 on the headlines. Nintendo says it's working to stop the leaks of games. Nintendo knows about all the online leaks surrounding its games and hardware development, and it's working to prevent them from continuing. During its annual shareholders meeting on Thursday, Nintendo commented on the leaks for the first time publicly when asked about it during a Q&A section of the meeting. We have become aware of the specific issues pointed out through media reports and other sources, Nintendo said. We work with specialist companies to diagnose information security and take various other measures. Ninjas.
Yep.
Assassins.
They're going the Boeing route. Or I guess they did it first. Yeah, I guess
Yeah, they did it for Boeing. Ripped off them.
Yeah.
Nintendo's like, guys, at least
You're
credit
next.
us. The company has introduced information security management as part of its internal information security system and is also working on continuous education for employees. Can I also say it's really funny in the quotes where it's like Nintendo said this? It's never like one person from Nintendo. It's like Nintendo said.
as a whole.
Nintendo said this. It's like, okay. So they're on the lookout for leakers, Dev, which is why it's time we say goodbye to a beautiful bird. One of the most beautiful birds. And obviously, as a Philadelphian, there are many beautiful birds in my life. This was one of the most beautiful of all, though. Prominent Nintendo leaker Pioro has locked their account after their source is revealed as an employee of Nintendo. Pioro is a well-known social media user who regularly leaked Nintendo Direct announcements before their official publication. The source of Pioro's information was previously a secret, but their track record of accurate leaks earned them over 100,000 followers on Twitter. I mean, you would always see me in the Discord.
Yeah, you were always sending tweets.
The bird has spoken,
Yeah.
and then it would happen.
Yeah.
A new report on popular leakers on Bloomberg, it was noted that Pioro was uncharacteristically quiet ahead of this week's Nintendo Direct, and they stated they didn't expect many big announcements, a claim later proven incorrect when Nintendo showed off a new Mario, a new Zelda, and a new Metroid game.
Yeah.
Several members of the popular Reset Era forum began to realize that unlike previous Nintendo Directs, this week's announcements didn't have preceded web pages on the Nintendo Store. The users then realized that Pioro's previous leaks had all involved games that were set to go live on Nintendo's website immediately after the live streams, and the games that were put out on the store after a Direct were not leaked by the user. This led many to conclude that Pioro had access to Nintendo's web backend. In another plot twist, Bloomberg actually reached out to Pioro to ask for clarification. Over direct messages, the user reportedly told Jason Schreier that their source works for Nintendo in Japan, but I'm unsure how they obtained their information, and that back-end theory is a reasonable guess. In a since-deleted post, Pioro then claimed they did not know their responses to Bloomberg would be included in the article, and they swiftly set their account to private. Jason Schreier out here like, die, bird. Which, okay, so here's the thing. Jason Schreier is like one of the most like investigative journalists in gaming. Like, shame on Pioro for not rethinking about this. Like, it's Jason fucking Schreier. And he's just like, hey, Pioro, so where you get your source? Who's your source? Oh, some Nintendo employee from Japan. You didn't think he was going to say that? You thought he was going to keep that anonymous?
Yeah.
No. That's dumb. I'm sorry. That's real foolish. And when Nintendo ninjas are after you, you can't afford to make a mistake.
Yeah, you're right.
Schreier later responded by posting an alleged DM sent to Pioro prior to publication, stating that he was working on an article. The alleged revelations around one of the most notorious Nintendo leakers follows another report earlier this month, which claims several leaked Nintendo announcements originated from a Google employee, which we talked about previously on the podcast. So Pioro's account is now locked, and we may never hear from our beautiful bird ever again.
Yeah.
Sleep well, sweet prince.
Missed.
Here's the thing, right? Like, maybe Nintendo should be better, and we won't have to like ask for leaks. You know what I mean? Maybe it's Nintendo's fault. Maybe they're the problem. Has Nintendo ever thought about that? And maybe they're the problem, Ash. Now that you're awake from your nap. She's awake from her nap. She's up. She'll be running around soon. Well, Devro, I wish I could say that was it for the Nintendo ninjas, but it's not. Nintendo is going after more people with lawsuits. Oh. That's the headline. That's the headline. Nintendo is continuing to go after those it feels encourages and supports the piracy of its consoles and games. The company has filed more lawsuits against two parties in a Washington federal court. As first discovered by Torrent Freak, Nintendo has filed two new lawsuits. The Nintendo lawyers are just like, you get a lawsuit. Yeah. You get a lawsuit. The first goes after modded hardware, specifically Ryan Daly, who runs the group. The suit says that Nintendo asked Daly to stop selling his modded hardware, but after he didn't, despite agreeing to do so, the company is suing him. According to claims in the lawsuit, Nintendo says modded hardware sells various hardware that allows the Switch to play pirated copies of its games. The second lawsuit goes against James Archbox Williams. In this suit, Nintendo says Williams encourages piracy and is the driving force behind several pirate shops. Defendant is well aware that his conduct is unlawful and infringes Nintendo's intellectual property rights. Indeed, defendant was bragged publicly that he is a pirate who isn't going to give Nintendo $50 for a game, Nintendo says in its filing. They say that Williams has helped people get easier access to pirate games for the Switch and was magnified due to the aforementioned Switch Pirates subreddit. Williams is a moderator of the subreddit. They're going after mods on subreddits at this point. Like, I'm getting out of that game. Like, you know, if I'm in that game, I'm getting out. I don't want any part of it. So yeah, they're coming after you. Everyone. They're going after everybody.
Yeah.
By the year 2035, Nintendo will have sued every American.
Yeah, no one's safe.
No one's safe. Not any of us. But in the meantime, let's talk about games. Number 6 in the headlines. New Game Pass editions coming this month. We have the lineup for the first half of July. Coming soon, as in tomorrow. First up, Journey to the Savage Planet. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, which I think that's a good title for them. I haven't played that. I would like to play that, actually. Cricket 24 for the cricket fans. The Case of the Golden Idol on July 9th. Neon White, which was previously on PlayStation and Switch.
That was a big game.
Yeah, it was a big game. I'm excited to play that. Coming July 11th. Tchia, which was also PlayStation exclusive, coming to July 11th to Xbox. What else? Magical Delicacy on July 16th. Flock on July 16th. Flock is a multiplayer co-op game about the joy of flight and collecting adorable flying creatures with your friends. Soar through beautiful landscapes, seeking out rare and exclusive creatures to add to your flock.
Sounds like a Pokemon.
Ty says Flintlock is the biggest game coming to Game Pass. It is. That's in the second half of the month, though. We'll probably be talking about that in a week or two. In case you missed it, War Tales. Oh, okay. War Tales coming to Xbox. Okay. So yeah, it's a good little Game Pass drop for July. Obviously they've had a hot few months here. So, what game are you out of all these? Would you be most excited to play?
Probably, what's it called? Off-White.
Neon White.
Neon White. Yeah.
Okay.
Neon White. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah, so definitely, yeah. For me, I would say either Neon White or All-Star Brawl, too. Yeah, I think that looks really good. Tchia's a Breath of the Wild clone. Journey to Savage Planet's a good game.
Looks pretty good, too.
It looks like Breath of the Wild. I mean, it looks fine. But yeah, they're all in Game Pass, so there's a good chance I'll play some of these games, so... Number 7 on the headlines, PlayStation Stars loyalty scheme is returning after a month of unavailability. We talked about this last week, I think, or the week before. The service has been out of action since early June, and Sony has failed to specify why. We're aware of the issue with PlayStation Stars and are actively working on a solution, the company said last month. In an update on the PlayStation Stars site this week, Sony said the service would be coming back in the near future. PlayStation Stars will be returning soon in phased regional rollouts, it said. Thank you for your patience as we look forward to welcoming you back. I think this was a really interesting story that it wasn't really talked about more. It being like one of PlayStation's services that they offer their customers, and it just wasn't working for a month. And it's just like, oh, okay.
Nobody knew for a while too, right?
Well, I mean, because like...
I don't think anyone... It's not like a big...
I found out about it like halfway through its outage. And then we talked about it on the podcast, but like no one knew about it because none of the major outlets were really reporting it. The only people that knew about it were people that used it.
But I also feel like it's not something that's used often. Like,
I don't know, if you're offering a rewards program that's based off how much money you're spending, it should definitely work.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not a fan of the fact that it was kind of hushed for a while. But it should be up and running soon, so we'll see. Number 8 on the headlines. Assassin's Creed remakes are coming, as we previously reported here on the podcast. In an interview with the studio's website, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot said that the Assassin's Creed series would see a number of games in the future, including remakes. Firstly, players can be excited about some remakes, which will allow us to revisit some of the games we've created in the past and modernize them. There are worlds in some of our older Assassin's Creed games that are still extremely rich, he said. Secondly, to answer your question, there will be plenty of experience variety. The goal is to have Assassin's Creed games come out more regularly, but not for it to be the same experience every year. There are a lot of good things to come, including AC Hex, which we've announced, which is going to be a very different game from Assassin's Creed Shadows. we're going to surprise people, I think. So, yeah, this
I'm
is
excited to hear
kind of a follow-up from what we had reported on a couple months ago about the AC Black Flag remake. So we knew that's coming. Number 9 on the headlines. AAA games are bombing in their iOS ports, according to sales. When iPhone 15 and the higher tier models were revealed last year, it was promised that a slew of AAA games would wind up on the super capable device and the topmost iPad models. To that end, Death Stranding, Resident Evil Village, and Assassin's Creed Mirage have all landed on the iOS App Store. But recent estimations have suggested that they are simply not selling and might not be worth developers' investments moving forward. Now, Insider Gaming does point out that it is worth stressing that this is a pretty niche market, as only the highest end iPhones and iPads can run these games. But it was suggested that fewer than 3,000 people have paid to unlock the full version of Assassin's Creed Mirage since it was released a few weeks ago. Mirage offers users a brief trial to test out the game on their iPhone or iPad, but after that there's a $49.99 paywall blocking off the rest of the game. That's where most users are getting to before ultimately giving up, because the demo was downloaded 123,000 times, which is, I think that's fine for an iOS game, I guess.
Yeah, that is.
Hold on. So that has led Ubisoft to net just $138,000 in revenue, which hardly makes it worth the worthwhile venture. Elsewhere, it was estimated that while Resident Evil 4 has been downloaded around 350,000 times, only 7,000 consumers have converted to the fully priced premium product. The data also shows rapid drop-offs in interest post-launch. Many have theorized that the leading cause of this lack of interest can be attributed to none of the games being made for mobile, and there's the fact that they boast premium price tags. In a world dominated by free-to-play games, who wants to pay $50 to play on a mobile device?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So what do you think is the biggest reason why these games are clearly these great games? These are all great games. They're in their own right. Why are they bombing on mobile?
I just don't think they're built for. It's not like mobile gaming is a drought. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of money to be made in mobile gaming, but these AAA games don't translate well. It sounds like to a phone. Mm-hmm. I think a Switch or a Steam Deck or something like that, that's fine, but to a phone, I can see the barrier. And spending, what, $50, $60 on these games? That's $40 even? So that's another barrier. I wouldn't want to spend that much money. If I'm going to spend that much money, I'm just going to get it on a console somewhere. You know what I mean?
So I'm basically agreeing with you. I think my point of thought, or my thought point with it, is that I think that these games are not landing with the intended audience. Like, the intended audience for these games and these mobile users are not the same people. I don't think that the mobile users, like you said, if the mobile users wanted to play a premium game like that, they would go and play it on a console or a PC or wherever they could play it on a more premium setting. And maybe this is just me being like an old grumpy old dude, but like, I don't view the mobile market as a premium gaming market. I think it's a viable gaming market. I think it's a profitable gaming market. But in terms of a premium AAA experience, I just don't think you're going to a mobile device to get that. And if I'm someone like facing that dilemma where it's like, hey, like, where do I want to spend $50 on Assassin's Creed? It's not on my mobile device. It's going to be on somewhere where like I can play it on a high end monitor or my television or my 4K TV or something like that. I just don't see the mobile market as a AAA premium title marketplace. I just don't think games like that are going to land.
At least not for single player narrative games. I think maybe multiplayer games, because I think Fortnite does fine on mobile, Call of Duty does fine on mobile. So I think maybe for more story driven for single player games, I can't see a lot of people going for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean
multiplayer AAA. I think they do fine on mobile. So
yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be a marketplace that's going to be worth doing for them. And I mean, it was worth trying. I just don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's going to be profitable in the long run. I think you're gonna see, like, again, cheaper experiences. I mean, obviously games as a service is big on mobile phones. Mm-hmm. Things like Fortnite's going to do very well. Warzone's going to do really well. But I think outside of the games as a service, free to play model, like I just don't see anything. I don't see it sticking. $50 on a mobile game, like I would never in a million years spend that much. I don't know. Ty says Honkai Star Rail is literally one of the biggest JRPGs out there. Mobile.
Yeah, but Call of Duty, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail. I think they have like the ZZZ game coming up. Zen
Yeah, but how
Zone
much does
Zero.
Honkai Star Rail cost? Is that a free to play game?
I think all of these might be free to play.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's not a premium. It's not a premium game.
But people are spending way more than $60 on these games. They're spending.
Well, yeah,
up in the
because that's the business model.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think that they're the same thing, personally. Next up, Xbox could be getting direct NVIDIA GeForce Now integration. Recently leaked images have suggested that Xbox consoles could be getting a direct integration with NVIDIA GeForce Now in the near future. On social media, a series of shots surfaced showing the option to play certain games through GeForce Now, which is NVIDIA's cloud-based streaming service. Historically, Microsoft and NVIDIA have partnered on this proposition, but this would be the first time that a native application has worked itself onto the Xbox platform. On Twitter, known tipster Extus1, which I think we've quoted them before, posted a series of images that showed players having the option to boot their games through GeForce Now, alongside the usual offerings such as Game Pass or outright purchasing. So, another option on the Xbox. I think Xbox really wants to bring these other platforms to their platform at this point too. I think they would love to get Steam and Epic Game Store on there as well. So, it would be big for them.
Absolutely.
Number 11 on the headlines. There was an interview done about Avowed. We know that Avowed will be similar in length to the Outer Worlds. Did you play the Outer Worlds?
I started it. I played like 4 or 5 hours of it. I want to go back to it though.
Okay. So in a new interview with Game Informer, Avowed game director Carrie Patel was asked how long the RPG will be, to which she compared Avowed to the Outer Worlds. She said the best comparison for Avowed is in terms of scope is the Outer Worlds, Patel said.
And I think the Outer Worlds was like a 40-hour-ish game.
It depends on how much you do. Players can expect a roughly similar experience just like Outer Worlds, depending on what kind of difficulty they play on and how thoroughly they explore and invest inside content, versus just sticking to the main crit path missions. Outer Worlds, you could beat the game in about 15 hours if you go right through just the main story. And roughly double that if you explore the RPG side content. While that may be a little on the short side for some, True Achievement says, I am all for the shorter RPG experiences, which I am also. That won't take an eon to finish. As for unlocking all the Outer Worlds achievements, since this is TrueAchievements.com's reporting, it takes 40 to 50 hours to get all the achievements for Outer Worlds. Okay. So, if they're saying it's similar to in scale to Avowed, a completionist could probably get 50 hours out of it, which I think it's great. We do not have a release date yet for Avowed, but I can't wait. Number 12 on the headlines, Beyond Good and Evil, that has a remaster that was announced at Limited Run's E3 event, which was really nice. Their E3 was actually pretty cool. They announced like a physical copy of one of the Star Wars games on my wish list. So it's another digital game that like I'm taking off the wish list. Yeah. So it's like I win again. I'm racking up the wins. The big loss is coming, but I'm racking up the wins in the meantime. But anyways, so according to Thursday's announcement, the upgraded version of the 2003 adventure game Beyond Good and Evil will include a new treasure hunt in which players can discover more about protagonist Jade's childhood through cosmetic rewards. This exclusive new mission also reveals more about the narrative link to Beyond Good and Evil 2. So they're basically just porting the first game, but they added in this little mission that's going to coincide with the next game, which they're still working on, they say. They're like, hey, we're working on it, we promise.
I want to play Beyond Good and Evil. I want to play the first one.
I do too. I have it on GameCube. Never played it though. Yeah. Number 13 on the headlines. Really cool little story here. State of Decay developers, Undead Labs, makers of State of Decay 3, which looked phenomenal, by the way, at E3, grants a fan's wholesome wish. With the gaming industry typically churning out all sorts of bad news as of late, studio closures, mass layoffs, and people messaging minors, it's genuinely nice to write about something positive. And that's the case here, with State of Decay developers Undead Labs going above and beyond for a fan of the game. So a Reddit user Embarrassed Budget 859 posted, "Sadly lost my father several years ago. My dad passed away 3 years ago, and I found him in the game. He says, so my dad died a few years ago, and I'm one of the many who are obsessed with this game, State of Decay. So I sent the developers a message asking them to put him in the game, and they did what they could, which means just adding his name to random survivors. 3 years later, and I found him. Not just his names, but his traits. Everything about him. This will forever be my community. And then so he shows the screenshot of his dad being in the game as a survivor.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I thought that was really awesome for Undead Labs to do. Really great little story there. Next up, number 14 on the headlines. Who's working on Metroid Prime 4? So Nintendo announced back in 2019 that had decided to restart development from the beginning for Metroid Prime 4, with producer Kensuke Tanabe calling in Retro Studios to take over the project from its original developer. Although Nintendo and Retro have remained tight-lipped on the game's development to date, VGC analysis gives some idea of the staff who's been contributing to the game's development. Since this analysis deals with public-facing information, there are some caveats. The nature of NDAs means it's currently unclear if Metroid Prime 4 is the only game Retro Studios is currently working on. So there's always a possibility that staff listed below are working on something else. But just to get an idea of who's working at Retro right now, last year, Retro appointed veteran Halo creative Kyle Heffley at the studio's new lead character artist. In 2020, Stephen Dupree, the lead designer of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, returned to Retro Studios after a 2-year absence. We also got an Epic Mickey developer, as well as some Call of Duty Black Ops veteran developer, Nandakumar, as a lead engineer. Recently served as the same role for the PC version of Black Ops 4. Yay, Blackout. The programmer spent the decade at Activision across every Black Ops installment to date. Shortly after this, they also hired John Marcella, who was at Sony Santa Monica for a decade and worked on 2013's God of War Ascension and 2010's God of War 3. So there, and then if you go on this for VGC, I'm not going to read off the list, but like, there's so many people that are working on Metroid Prime 4. Like, I'll just say some of the games: Callisto Protocol, Forza or Horizon Forbidden West, EA, BioWare, Halo 4, Donkey Kong Country, Battlefield, Mirror's Edge, Halo, Demon's Souls, Amazon Games, Turn 10, Mass Effect, Star Wars: The Old Republic. I'm just skimming. More Metroid Prime 2 and 3. So you even have old Metroid Prime developers still working there. God of War Ragnarok, Uncharted. The list goes on and on. Retro is really stacked right now with like, look, and I could keep going. Like, it's just like there was a lot more. Yeah. So this game is really shaping up to be something special, and I'm looking forward to it. Number 15 on the headlines, we got an update on the Street Fighter movie. In an update to IGN, Sony Pictures confirmed that the movie will be released on March 20th, 2026, but the company did not reveal who will direct it. So far, all we know about the project is that it's being produced alongside Street Fighter publisher and developer Capcom, with directors Manny and Michael Philippou walking away from the project due to scheduling. So, I mean, yeah, the update's really just that we have the release date.
Okay.
Which, I don't know, you don't have the director yet. I don't know if that's making that release date, to be honest.
They want it out by next year?
By 2026, March 2026. Oh. I don't think it's happening, personally. Number 16 on the headlines, Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster was announced at the Capcom event. Coming to the newest generation of platforms, it's billed as an updated release with a brand new look. The game does definitely feature some overhauled graphics. It doesn't seem like it's just a straight-up remaster. The visuals that I saw definitely do look improved.
Do we have anything else from Capcom on this news? Because I didn't watch the
only other thing that was worth noting, which I didn't put in the thing because it was like a no duh statement, but they're like, we're working on the next Resident Evil.
Okay.
All right.
Do you know if there was any news about Jet Set Radio or Crazy Taxi?
You think of Sega? That's Sega.
Sega. Okay.
But no, that was not a Capcom showcase.
Yeah.
Sorry. um, Number 17 in the headlines. We're just kind of skating right through these. I thought this was an interesting little statistic. So Valve has revealed that 59% of Steam players use Xbox controllers. That was from IGN.
I'm not surprised by that.
I mean, I'm not either. I think Xbox is a better controller. I mean, I know that the DualSense has like the haptic triggers, and that's like great.
Yeah, DualSense is an amazing controller, but
like in terms of layout, I think the Xbox controller is the best layout of the controller. When Xbox is able to get their shit together and put haptic feedback in their controller, it's over. Like that's the controller. Like that's it. The Xbox controller with haptic feedback and haptic triggers. Like that's all that they're missing at this point. Number 18. You know what? Do we even want to talk about a bomb threat? I don't even know.
I agree with you that it is.
It is news. All right. Yeah, no, I know. I'm thinking of time restraints more so, but so do you remember, Dev, the Nintendo, how they canceled all that Japanese stuff? They had like the Zelda Symphony and they had like a bunch of stuff. We reported on it, I think, back in hold on, was it December? November of last year.
I actually don't remember that.
Okay, so we talked about it back then. So they were doing Nintendo Live in Tokyo.
Okay.
And it was like a whole big Nintendo fest, like a lot of stuff planned, and they ended up having to cancel it because of safety concerns. Well, we now know that 27-year-old Kenshin Kazama stood trial this week and admitted that he made those threats, bomb threats and whatnot. He says, "I sent the messages because I was stressed by playing a game." Kazama reportedly explained, "When I kept losing, I got frustrated." Kazama was charged in April, accused of sending a total of 39 threats via inquiry form on Nintendo's official website between August 22nd and November 29th of last year. Kazama was accused of saying, "I'll make you regret bringing such a shitty game into this world," threatening to kill everyone involved, and saying, "Be careful about the events that have spectators in attendance."
Dang.
Although it isn't clear what the game he was referring to, it's believed to be Splatoon 3.
You're just losing so bad.
In Splatoon. He's like, oh, he's just like, "Nintendo, I'm going to blow up your building.
Insane.
I hate you."
I get the rage behind, like, you know, but the threat.
Bomb threats?
Yeah, the threat is.
Devro, have you ever threatened?
No.
Made a bomb threat
No.
over? I mean, I have.
I don't think
When Forrest stole my my star in Mario Party,
Oh yeah, that's different. That's Mario Party.
I threatened to blow up his house.
Okay. It's a little bad, but
I mean, he deserved it.
I don't know about that.
I've never actually threatened to blow up anyone's house. Big disclaimer. I've never done anything like that. No, that's a real hinged behavior. Or unhinged behavior, excuse me.
Have the appropriate gameplay up.
Bomberman.
Yeah.
God, you son of a bitch. Oh, man. All right. Number 19 on the headlines. From Software suffered a 1.5 terabyte data hack. It was announced by Kadokawa Group, the parent company of From Software, that a cyber attack has led to around 1.5 terabytes of data being obtained by a ransomware group. In a news release published by the organization, it was explained that the company felt the impact of this attack in almost every branch: publication, distribution, web services, and merchandising. Presently, Kadokawa is uncertain if any personal information was obtained by the ransomware group, but stressed that it didn't retain credit card information. So not super great.
No, not great at all.
No. Number 20 on the headlines. Konami producer says it would be a dream for Hideo Kojima to return to Metal Gear.
That's funny.
Noriaki Akamura made the comments during a Japanese live stream on Friday with the caveat that he wasn't assuming Kojima and his former colleagues would necessarily feel the same way. Kojima split from Konami in 2015 following a mysterious falling out following the conclusion of Metal Gear Solid 5. While Kojima still regularly talks about Metal Gear, he no longer has any control over the property. However, it would appear that tensions between the pair may have cooled off in the years since. Asked if there was a chance of original staff members working on Metal Gear again during the live stream, the producer Akamura replied, "It's not my place to answer on behalf of anyone outside the company, or to guess how they might feel about it. But, just speaking for myself, personally, I'd like nothing better than to work with Mr. Kojima and the rest of the team again. If that could happen, it would be the dream."
I agree, but I think he's already working on his own spy game.
He is, yeah.
He's moved on.
It'll never happen.
Yeah.
I think Jeff Grubb put it really well on his show. He said, should Kojima ask Konami to come back and work on Metal Gear? No. Should Konami ask Kojima to come back and work on Metal Gear? Yes. They should ask him. He should say no, but they should ask him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll never happen, unfortunately. Number 21, Astrobot. Its game size has leaked. And again, this is kind of a smaller headline, but it's going to be about 11 gigabytes.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 66 gigabytes. The Astro's Playroom was 11 gigabytes. Okay. So that gives you kind of a sense of like
the scale of the game.
Yeah. Six times bigger than the, you know.
That's one of the PlayStation games that looks really cool that I'm excited for.
Even
though I won't be playing it. I mean, I might come over here and play it or watch you play it or whatever.
Right.
That game looks pretty good.
Yeah. Let's see. Number 22 on the headlines. After initial success, Helldivers 2 has lost 90% of its players with no signs of recovery. Devro, how would you get those players back?
Content. I mean, that's the only thing you can bring them in. Add a new enemy type, I guess. Throw that in there. Get players in there. Hey, we need your help. Mm-hmm. That whole narrative that they had was...
Bringing it to Xbox, would be a really big thing.
That is another thing. Yeah.
Be like, the reserves are here.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Of course.
Just saying.
On brand.
On brand. I'm just saying. It's a live service game. We talk about these live service games doing well everywhere.
No, I
it makes sense.
The live, what do you call it? The DMing or whatever you want to call it, that the one guy had where he's... Yeah. I think do more of that. Just, new enemy type. Hey, we need players to jump in real quick. It doesn't have to be a game that people play all the time. It can be a game that people jump into for events. Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah. All right, number 23, our final headline for the week. Nintendo says it wants to avoid Super Switch scalping by making enough to meet demand.
That's amazing.
I know, I love this. In a Q&A during a general meeting of the shareholders that we talked about earlier, the company's execs were asked what measures they were taking place to stop reselling of its next console. Given that the last year's meeting, they said they were planning to do so. Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa replied that the company's main plan for combating scalping is to make sure players don't have to turn to resellers because they could just buy a console at retailer. Now, here's the thing. I think out of all people, Nintendo saying this is the most ridiculous thing. Because this is the company that, doesn't... they make 100 Amiibo. They make, the most limited of limited things. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're like, let's just make a lot of consoles. As many as we can.
Yeah. Well, if you remember, during the Switch, I don't think Nintendo knew how big the Switch was going to be,
But I'm not talking about the Switch. I'm talking about, Nintendo loves doing, limited runs of everything. There are so many, part of my FOMO is because of Nintendo. When I get, really bad, I need to buy this now because I'll never be able to buy it again, it's because of Nintendo. Almost all of the big Nintendo items I own, if I didn't buy them there, I probably would have never had them.
Yeah.
And that's just facts. That's just factual. Furukawa said that as a countermeasure against resale, Nintendo believes the most important thing is to produce sufficient numbers to meet customer demand. In addition, the president said Nintendo is also considering whether it can take some other measures, taking into account the circumstances in each region. What does that mean? Do you think that means Nintendo's going to be the ninjas are going to watch the eBay postings and IP search and then come to their house and kill them?
Sounds like it.
Nintendo's we could try to make enough consoles, or we could
eliminate
we could take into account the circumstances in each region. Mm-hmm. That's their words. The circumstances in each region. Furukawa also noted that the semiconductor shortage that affected numerous companies' ability to produce new hardware in recent years is no longer an issue. So I'm excited. I'm glad that I won't need to struggle to get a new Super Switch. So good for them. Yeah, good. And that is the headlines for the week. Let's run through the releases for the week of July 1st. It's a relatively small week in terms of number of games. Final Fantasy 14 Dawn Trail comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and PC today, July 2nd. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard makes its iOS debut today on July 2nd. The First Descendant comes out on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC on July 2nd. Zenless Zone Zero, PS5, PC, iOS, and Android on July 4th. And The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak, PS5, PS4, Switch, PC on July 5th. I'm going to go first. My pick of the week here is going to be The First Descendant.
Yeah.
It's a free-to-play looter shooter. One of my friends was texting me today. He's already been playing it. That was before Xbox went down. He said it was a good time. I'm not a big looter shooter guy, but we watched the trailer that you're playing right now. I think it looks really good, and I think it's a kind of a light week as it is. So for me, that's my pick of the week.
I'm a big looter shooter guy, so Zenless Zone Zero sounds like the First
Oh,
Descendant.
you heard it. Zenless Zone Zero. Devro's pick of the week.
The First Descendant just looks like a game that I would love, like a new shooter looter in a different. Like, I like the aesthetic of it. I told you that was one of the best looking trailers. I know it was just a cinematic trailer, but to me that was the best trailer that we saw during E3.
Right.
So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ash is telling us it's time to wrap up. She's awake and she's ready to step all over our computers.
It's time to wrap up. I also think that Zenless Zone Zero, even though it's coming out on PS5 and PC, I think it's going to make a killing on iOS. I think that's a game that does well on phones.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, now you can go. You can go wherever you want. She was very well behaved today for the podcast. I think it's the first podcast that I've done since she's been here, and she's been well behaved.
That's good.
She's usually running around or chasing her tail on my neck or shoulder. Or it's always something. But okay. What are you playing right now?
I'm still playing Botany Manor.
Okay.
I'm still on that. And I'm still playing... I don't remember the name of the other game, but I'm playing it.
Okay. I just play games.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's called.
I think it's Humanity.
Oh, okay.
Humanity.
Yeah, Humanity. Yeah.
Games.
Yeah. All right.
What are you playing?
So I finished up Paper Mario. Loved it. Completed it. Did everything.
What are you on now?
Well, so yesterday I played this game called Open Roads on Game Pass. I enjoyed it.
You did it. You got all the
completed it. It was kind of a shorter narrative game, which again I think those games are just so perfect for Game Pass because they're short little experiences that like maybe financially because I can't just buy every game I want to play. Like I probably would pass on it. At least a good chunk of those types of narrative games, just because of funds. But Game Pass makes it so I can play them. So I enjoyed it. It was really good. And then Xbox is down today, so I don't know what I was going to play next, but before I could even like consider it, I was like, okay, well I'm just going to play something brief today. So I was playing Turok on the NSO. And man, as someone who has not played that game as a kid, I think it's aged terribly. Mostly because of the control scheme. I can see why people would like it, but like the control scheme, I think was just you got it way faster than I did.
Yeah, I think it started to get fun, but it does picking up the controller, you have me play it, and it does rack your brain. You're like, how am I going to play this? I have no idea how I'm going to do this.
Yeah, you just try to figure it out, and it's just like, oh.
But as you play longer, I think it gets to you. If I was a kid playing this, I probably would have picked it up easier.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what I'm playing yet because Xbox is down right now. I don't know if it's still down as of this moment.
Give me time to think.
Yeah, I guess so. Can you go get her real quick?
Where's she at?
In a place she can't be.
I'll get her.
Yeah, go get her. I'll close up. All right, we're gonna go. All right, everybody, bye. Join the Discord. See you later.
See you guys.
Yeah, bye.